I recently moved into my dorm room starting as a sophomore in college, and a friend of mine gave me his old Nintendo 64 to play. I was stoked, to say the least. I could finally play all those old games of my youth I hadn't touched in at least a decade. His Nintendo 64 came with one yellow controller and a rather shoddy copy of Super Smash Bros. And, while beggars can't be choosers, it didn't take long before I got bored of beating up all VL9 CPUs. That weekend, I decided to drive around a few neighborhoods about 20 minutes or so off campus, hitting up the local garage sales. I was hoping to score some good deals from ignorant parents. I ended up picking up a copy of Pokémon Stadium, GoldenEye, F-Zero, and 2 other controllers for $2. Satisfied, I began to drive out of the neighborhood when one last house caught my attention. I still have no idea why it did. There were no cars there and only one table was set up with random junk on it. However, something sort of drew me there. I usually trust my gut on these things, so I got out of the car and was greeted by an old man. His outward appearance was, for lack of a better word, displeasing. It was odd. If you asked me why I thought he looked displeasing, I couldn't really pinpoint anything. There was just something about him that put me on edge. I can't explain it. All I can tell you that if it wasn't in the middle of the afternoon and there weren't other people within shouting distance, I wouldn't have even thought of approaching this man. He flashed a crooked smile at me and asked what I was looking for. Immediately, I noticed he must be blind in one eye. His right eye had that glazed over look about it. I forced myself to look to his left eye, trying not to offend, and asked if he had any old video games. I was already wondering how I could politely excuse myself from the situation when he would tell me he had no idea what a video game was, but to my surprise he said he had a few in an old box. He assured me he'd be back in a jiffy and turned to head back into the garage. As I watched him hobble away, I couldn't help but notice what he was selling on his table. Littered across his table were rather peculiar paintings, various artworks that looked like ink blots a psychiatrist might show you. Curious, I looked through them. It was obvious why no one was visiting this guy's garage sale. These weren't exactly aesthetically pleasing. As I came to the last one, I noticed it looked almost like Majora's Mask, with the same heart-shaped body with the little spikes protruding outward. Initially, I just thought that since I was secretly hoping to find that game at these garage sales, some Freudian bullshit was projecting itself into the ink blots. However, given the events that happened after, I'm not so sure now. I should have asked the man about it. I wish I asked the man about it. After staring at the Majora-shaped blot, I looked up and the old man was suddenly there again, arm's length in front of me and smiling. I'll admit, I jumped out of reflex and laughed nervously as he handed me a Nintendo 64 cartridge. It was the standard gray color and had no label. Someone had written Majora on it in black permanent marker. I got butterflies in my stomach as I realized what a coincidence it was and asked how much the old man wanted for it. The old man smiled and told me I could have it for free. He said it used to belong to a kid around my age that didn't live here anymore. There was something weird about how he phrased that, but I didn't really any attention then. I was too caught up in not only finding the game, but getting it for free. I reminded myself to be a bit skeptical since this looked like a pretty shady cartridge and there was no guarantee it would work. However, the optimist inside me interjected that maybe it was some kind of beta or pirated version of the game. That was all I needed to be back on cloud 9. I thanked the man, who smiled and wished me well, saying goodbye then, which at the time is what it sounded like to me. All the way in the car ride home, I had a nagging doubt that the man had said something else. My fears were confirmed when I booted up the game to my surprise. It worked just fine and there was one save file simply named Ben. The man was saying, "Goodbye, Ben." I felt bad for him. He was obviously a grandparent going senile. I, for some reason or another, reminded him of his grandson, Ben. Out of curiosity, I looked at the save file. I could tell he was pretty far in the game. He had almost all of the masks and 3/4 boss remains. I noticed he had used an owl statue to save his game. He was on day 3 by the Stone Tower Temple with hardly an hour before the moon would crash. I remember thinking it was a shame he had come so close to beating the game but never finished it. I made a new file named Link, out of tradition, and started the game. I was ready to relive my childhood. For such a shady-looking cartridge, I was impressed at how smoothly it ran, literally just like a retail copy of the game, save for few minor hiccups here and there, textures being where they should be, random flashes of cutscenes at odd intervals, nothing too bad. However, the only thing that was a little unnerving was that, at times, the NPCs would call me Link and call me Ben at other times. I figured it was a bug, maybe a fluke in the programming, that caused our save files to get mixed up or something. It did kind of creep me out after a while, though. Around the time I beat Woodfall Temple, I regrettably erased the Ben file. I had intended to preserve the file out of respect for the game's original owner. It's not like I needed two files anyway. I hoped that would solve the problem. It did and didn't. Now NPCs wouldn't call me anything. Where my name should be in the dialogue was a blank space. My save file was still called Link, however. Frustrated and with homework to do, I put the game down for a day. I started playing the game again last night, getting the lens of truth and working my way toward completing Snow-Wet Temple. Now, some of you more hardcore Majora's Mask players know about the fourth day glitch. For those who don't, you can Google it. The gist of it is that right as the clock is about to hit 0 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds on the final day, you talk to the astronomer and look through the telescope. If you exit the telescope just as the timer hits 0 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds, the countdown disappears and you essentially have an endless amount of time to finish whatever you were doing. Deciding to do the glitch to try and finish Snow-Wet Temple, I went in and tried. I happened to get it right on the first time and the counter at the bottom disappeared. When I exited the telescope, I found myself in the Majora boss room at the end of the game, the trippy boxed-in area staring at Skull Kid hovering above me. There was no sound, just him floating in the air above me and the background music, which was regular for the area but still creepy. Immediately, my palms began to sweat. This was definitely not normal. Skull Kid never appeared here. I tried moving around the area and, then no matter where I went, Skull Kid would always be facing me, not saying anything. Nothing would happen and this kept up for around 60 seconds. I thought the game was bugged or something, but I was beginning to doubt it very much. I was about to reach for the reset button when text appeared on the screen. You're not sure why, but you apparently had a reservation. I instantly recognized the text. You get that message when you get the room key from Anshu at the stock pot inn. Why was it playing here? I refused to entertain the nothing that it was, almost as if the game was trying to communicate with me. I started to walk around the room again, testing if that was some sort of trigger that enabled me to interact with something before realizing how stupid I was. To even think that someone could reprogram the game like this was absurd. Sure enough, though, another message appeared on the screen 15 seconds later and, like the first one, it was already a pre-existing phrase. Go to the lair of the temple's boss. Yes/no. I paused for a second, contemplating what I should press and how the game would react, when I realized I couldn't select no. Taking a deep breath, I pressed yes and the screen faded to white, with the words "Dawn of a New Day" and the subtext vertical line 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 beneath it. Where I was transported to filled me with the most intense sense of dread and impending fear I have ever experienced. The only way I can describe the way I felt here is having this feeling of inexplicable depression on a profound scale. I'm not normally a depressed person, but the way I felt here was a feeling I didn't even know existed. It was such a twisted, powerful presence that seemed to wash right over me. I appeared in some kind of weird Twilight Zone version of Clock Town. I walked out of the clock tower as you normally do when you start from the first day, only to find all the inhabitants were gone. Usually with the fourth day glitch, you can still find the guards and the dog that runs around outside the tower, but they were all gone. What replaced them was the ominous feeling there was something out there, in the same area as me, and it was watching me. I had 4 hearts OT my name and the hero's bow, but at this point I wasn't even considering for my avatar. I felt that I personally was in some kind of danger. Perhaps the most chilling thing was the music. It was the Song of Healing, ripped straight from the game and played in reverse. The music would get louder, building up so you should expect something to pop out at you, but nothing ever did, and a constant loop began to wear on my mental state. Every now and then, I would hear a faint laugh of the happy mask salesman in the background. It was just quiet enough that I wasn't sure if I was just hearing things, but just loud enough to keep me determined to find him. I looked in all 4 zones of Clocktown only to find nothing ... and no one. Textures were missing, too. West Clocktown had me walking on air, and the entire area felt ... broken ... hopelessly broken. As the reverse song of healing repeated for what must have been the 50th time, I remember standing in the middle of South Clocktown realizing that I had never felt so alone in a video game before. As I walked through the ghost town, I don't know whether it was the combination of the out-of-place textures, the atmosphere, and the haunting melody of the once peaceful and soothing song being butchered and distorted, but I was literally on the verge of tears and I had no idea why. I hardly ever cried, but something had gripped me here and caused this powerful sense of depression that was both foreign and crippling. I tried leaving Clocktown, but every time I went through one of the exits, the screen would fade to black and I would enter another zone of Clocktown. I tried playing my ocarina. I wanted to escape. I did not want to be here. However, every time I played the Song of Time or Song of Soaring, it would only say, "Your notes echo far," but nothing happens. By this point, it was obvious the game didn't want me to leave, but I had no idea why it was keeping me here. I didn't want to go inside buildings. I felt I would be too vulnerable to whatever I was terrified of. I don't know why, but I came up with the idea that if I drowned myself at the laundry pool, I could spawn elsewhere and leave. As I ran toward the pool, it happened. Link grabbed his head and the screen flashed for a brief moment of the happy mask salesman smiling at me, not Link, but Emmy, with the Skull Kid's scream playing in the background. When the screen returned, I was staring at the Link statue usually created by playing the Elegy of Emptiness. I screamed as the thing stared back at me with that haunting facial expression. I turned around and ran back to South Clocktown. To my horror, the fucking statue followed me in a way I can only describe as being similar to the weeping angels from Doctor Who. Every so often, at random intervals, the animation would play of the statue appearing behind me. It was like the thing was chasing me, or, I don't even want to fucking say it, haunting me. By this point, I was on the verge of hysterics. However, not even once did the thought of turning off the console occur to me. I don't know why, but I was so wrapped up in it. The terror felt also real. I tried to shake the statue, but it would literally appear right behind me every single time it went off screen. Link started to make weird animations I had never seen him do. He would flail his arms around or spasm randomly. The screen would cut to the happy mask salesman smiling again for a brief moment before I was face to face with that fucking statue again. I ended up running into the Swordsmaster dojo and ran to him back. I don't know why, but in my panic I wanted some kind of assurance I wasn't alone. To my dismay, I found no one. As I turned to leave, the statue cornered me in the cubby in the back. I tried attacking the statue with my sword, but to no avail. Confused and backed into a corner, I stared at the statue and waited for it to kill me. Suddenly, the screen flashed again to the happy mask salesman and Link turned to face me, standing upright as a mirror image of the statue and looking at me with his copy. Literally staring at me. Whatever was left of the fourth wall was completely shattered while I ran out of the dojo, terrified. Suddenly, the game warped me to an underground tunnel. The reverse song of healing queued up again as I was given a brief moment of rest before the statue started appearing again ... this time aggressively. I could only take a few steps before it would be summoned behind me again. I hurriedly made my way out of the tunnel and appeared in southern Clocktown. As I ran aimlessly in a sheer panic, the Red Dead suddenly screamed and the screen faded to black. Dawn of a new day and vertical line 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 appeared again. The screen faded in and I was standing atop the clock tower with Skull Kid hovering over me again, silent. I looked up and the moon was back, looming just meters above my head, but the Skull Kid stared at me hauntingly with that fucking mask. A new song was playing, the Stone Tower Temple theme played in reverse. In some sort of desperate attempt, I equipped my bow and fired off a shot at Skull Kid. It actually hit him and he played an animation of him reeling back. I fired again and, on the third arrow, a text box appeared that said, "That won't do you any good." He. I was picked up off the ground, levitated upwards on my back, and Link screamed as he burst into flames, instantly killing him. I jumped when this happened. I had never seen this move used by anyone in the game and, in addition, Skull Kid didn't even have any moves. As the death scene played, my lifeless body still burning, the Skull Kid laughed and the screen faded to black. I reappeared in the same place. I decided to charge him, but the same thing happened. Link's body was lifted off the ground by some unknown force and burst into flames, again killing him. This time, during the death scene, the faint sounds of the reverse song of healing could be heard. On my third and final try, I noticed there was no music playing, all there was eerie silence. I remembered that in the original encounter with Skull Kid, you were supposed to use the ocarina to either travel back in time or summon the giants. I attempted to play the Song of Time, but before I could hit the last note Link's body once again burst into flames and he died. As the death scene neared its end, the game began to chug. It was as if the cartridge was trying to process a lot of something. When the screen came to, it was the same scene as the first 3 times, except Link was lying on the ground, dead, in a position I had never seen in the game before. His head was tilted toward the camera and Skull Kid was floating above him. I couldn't move or press any buttons. All I could do was stare at Link's body. After around 30 seconds of this, the game faded out with the message, "You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you?" before kicking me to the title screen. Upon getting back to the title screen and starting again, I noticed my save file was gone. Instead of Link was your turn. Your turn had 3 hearts and no masks or items. I selected this file and was returned to the clock tower rooftop scene of Link dead and the Skull Kid hovering over, with the Skull Kid's laugh looping again and again. I quickly hit reset and when the game booted up again there was one more save file added below your turn then. That save file is right back where it was before I deleted it, at the Stone Tower Temple with the moon almost crashing. I turned the game off at that point. I'm not superstitious, but this is way too fucked up, even for me. I haven't played it at all today. Help, I didn't even get any sleep last night. I kept hearing the reverse song of healing in my head and couldn't get past that sense of dread I felt while exploring Clock Town. I drove back to the old man's house today with a buddy of mine. No way was I going there alone to ask him some questions, only to find there's a for sale sign in the front yard. When I rang the doorbell, no one was home. So now I'm back here, writing down the rest of my thoughts and recording what happened. Sorry if some of this has grammatical errors and whatnot, I'm running on no sleep here. I'm terrified of this game, even more so now that I relived it a second time just writing this down. However, I feel like there's still more to it than meets the eye and there's something calling me to investigate this further. I think there is something in this equation, but I don't know what. If I could get hold of the old man, I would be able to find some answers. I need another day or so to recuperate before tackling this game again, however. I feel it's already taken a toll on my insanity, but next time I do this I'm going to record the entire thing. The idea to record only came to me toward the end, so you only see the last few minutes of what I saw including the Skull Kid and Elegy statue, but it's on YouTube here. I'm going to post what happened and link to the video footage, but everything got too real for me last night. I think I'm done messing around with this. I passed out pretty much immediately after making that thread. Last night, however, I had a dream about that Elegy of Emptiness statue. I dreamed it was following me, that I would be minding my own business when I'd feel my neck hairs stand up on end. I would turn around and that horrible, lifeless statue would be staring at me with those empty eyes right at me, merely inches away. In my dream, I remember calling it Bent. Never before had I had a dream I could remember so vividly. The important thing is that I did get some sleep, I suppose. Today, putting off playing the game as long as I could, I drove back to that neighborhood to see if the old man returned. As I expected, the car was still gone and no one was home. As I was walking back to my car, The man next door came up and asked me if I was looking for someone. I told him I was looking to talk to the old man that lived here, to which he told me what I already knew: he was moving, trying a different avenue. I asked if the old man had any family or relatives I could talk to. I discovered this old man had never been married, nor did he have any children or grandchildren through adoption. Starting to become worried, I asked one final question, one I should have asked from the beginning: who was Ben? The man's expression turned grim and I leaned the front door down. Around 8 years ago, on April 23rd, the man informed me that it was the same day as his anniversary, which is why he knew the specific date there was an accident with a young boy named Ben in the neighborhood. Shortly after, his parents moved. Despite any further attempts to talk to the man to get more information, he wouldn't divulge anything else. I went back home and started playing the game again. I loaded up the game and immediately jumped at the sequence where the mask flies by. The sound that played was not the normal whoosh sound, but something much more higher-pitched. I pressed start and braced for the worst, but just like 2 nights ago, the files "Your Turn" and "Ben" were displayed. Truth be told, I looked at the Ben file earlier and it seems to fluctuate between displaying the owl icon and not. I brought up the Ben file and hesitated for a moment as I noticed the stats were not the same as they were 2 days ago. It looked like he had already completed the Stone Tower Temple this time. Summoning my courage, I selected it. Immediately, I was thrust into complete chaos. Sure enough, I was outside Stone Tower Temple, but that's about all that was expected. The area itself wasn't called Stone Tower Temple, but rather Saint Cohen, and immediately a dialogue box of complete gibberish I couldn't make out greeted me. Link's body was distorted. His back was cocked violently to the side and his posture was permanently disfigured. Link's expression was dull, almost monotonous. He had an expression on his face I didn't recognize. It was a blank look, as if he were dead. As Link stood there, his body spasmed irregularly back and forth. I examined what had become of my avatar and noticed the C button item I never saw before. It was some kind of note, but pressing it did nothing. Sounds played back and forth that I didn't recognize from the game. They were almost demonic nature. There was some kind of high-pitched gear or some kind of lamp or something playing in the background, too. I had all of 2 minutes to take in the environment before another of those fucking Elegy of Emptiness statues was summoned. Immediately after, I was cut to the Dawn of a New Day screen, except this time without the vertical line subtext. I was a Deku scrub in Clock Town. This scene would normally play after the first time you traveled back in time. Tattle would say, "WH, what just happened?" It's as if everything has. But instead of saying, "Start it over," she finished her remark in broken text as the laugh of the happy mask salesman played in the background. I was put back in control of my character, but from a screwed-up angle. I was looking from behind the door to the clock tower, watching my avatar run around as a Deku scrub. Seeing as I had no place to go because I couldn't see anything, I begrudgingly went inside. There, I was greeted by the happy mask salesman. He simply told me, "You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you?" Before the screen whited out, I was in Terminus Field as a Hylian again. I might as well have not even been playing the same game anymore. I was being warbound around and there was no sign of a clock or anything. I took a moment to get my bearings as I looked around the field and, immediately, I could tell this wasn't normal. There were no enemies and a twisted version of the Happy Mask Salesman's theme was playing. I decided to run toward Woodfall before I noticed a gathering of 3 figures off to the side. One of them was Epina. As I approached them, I saw the Happy Mask Salesman, the Skull Kid, and the Elegy of Emptiness statue standing there as well. I figuramed maybe they were bugged out, but by then I should have known better. Nevertheless, I approached them carefully and found Skull Kid and Epina were doing some kind of idle animations on loop. The Elegy of Emptiness statue was doing what it had been doing all along, standing there eerily. It was the Happy Mask Salesman that scared me profoundly more than the other 2. He, too, was idle and wearing that shit-eating grin. However, wherever I moved, his head slowly turned and followed me. I had no engaged in any dialogue with him nor was I in combat with him, yet his head still continued to follow my movements. Reminded of my first encounter with the Skull Kid on top of the clock tower, I pulled out my ocarina, to which the game played the ding sound that tells you you're supposed to play it, and tried the song I hadn't played yet, the Happy Mask Salesman's own song, and the song that had been playing on loop back in day 4, the Song of Healing. As I finished playing the song, an ear-piercing shriek blasted the TV speakers. The sky immediately started flashing and the Happy Mask Salesman's twisted theme sped up, intensifying the fear inside me. Link exploded into flames and died. The three figures stayed lit up during the death scene as they watched my lifeless body burn. I can't describe to you how sudden and terrifying the transition from eeriness to terror island. You're going to have to watch the video if you want to see that firsthand. That same fear that caused me to lose sleep 2 days ago started to grip me again as I was met with the text, "You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you?" For the third time. There has to be some kind of meaning behind that. I had little time to ponder as I was immediately given another small cutscene of transforming into a Zora. Now I found myself in the Great Bay. Hesitant, but curious to see what the game had in store for me, I slowly made my way toward the beach, where I found Epona. I wondered why the game had decided to put her here. Was the game implying she was trying to get a drink? Unable to take mask off, I decided that riding the steed wasn't the reason she was placed there. Suddenly, I realized that Epona kept neighing. The way she was angled made it look like she was trying to signal a point to me off in the distance. It was a hunch, but I dove into the water and started swimming. Regardless, my character choked to death and died. Again, the statue was the only thing that was highlighted in my death. I didn't respawn this time. I was booted back to the main menu as if I restarted the console. The title screen was before me and I knew the only reason it would put me here is because the save files had changed again. Taking a deep breath, I pressed start and found out I was right. The new save files told me about Ben. Now it made sense why the statue appeared when I tried to go to the laundry pool. The game must have anticipated how I would have tried to escape the day for Clocktown. The two save files told me his fate. As I suspected, Ben was dead. He had drowned. The game obviously isn't through with me. It taunts me with the new save files. It wants me to keep playing. It wants me to go further. I'm done with this shit, though. I'm not touching any more of the files. This is already way too horrifying for me and I don't even believe in the paranormal, but I'm running out of explanations. Why would someone send me this message? I don't understand it and I just get too depressed thinking about it. The footage is up here for those who want to see it and try and analyze it. Maybe there's some kind of coded message in the gibberish or something symbolic in what I went through, but I'm too emotionally and mentally drained to fuck with it anymore. I know it's early in the morning. I've stayed up all night. I can't sleep. I don't care if people see this. That's not the point. I just want the word to get spread so I don't suffer for nothing. I've lost the will to type about this. The less I dwell on this the better. I think the video just speaks for itself. I did what you guys told me to. I played the Elegy of Emptiness at the first prompt by the game I was given, but I think that's what the game or bent. Jesus Christ, I can't believe I'm even humoring the absurd idea he exists in the game wanted me to do. He's following me now, but not just in the game, he's in my dreams. I see him all the time, behind my back, just watching me. I haven't gone to any of my classes. I've stayed in my dorm room with the windows closed and the blinds shut. That way I know he can't watch me. However, he still gets to me when I play. When I play, he can still see me. The game is scaring me now. It talked to me for the first time, not just using the text already in the game, but literally spoke to me. It referenced Ben. I don't know what it means or what it wants. I never wanted this. I just want my old life back. Stuff like this doesn't happen to people like me. I'm just a kid not even old enough to drink yet. It's not fair. I want to go home and see my parents again. I'm so far away from home here at this school, but I just want to hug my mom again. I just want to forget that statue's horrible, blank face. My original game file is back, just the way I left it before it was gone. I don't want to play anymore, though. I feel like something bad will happen if I don't, but that's impossible. It's just a video game, Haunted or not, it can't hurt me, right? Like seriously, though. It can't, right? That's what I keep telling myself, but every time I think about it I'm not so sure. Let me just clear things up. I know you guys are worried, but Yanjuizable is okay. He finished moving out today and said he's going back home to take the semester off. I'm not really sure what's happened. I have a vague idea, but you guys probably know more than I do. I'm Yanjuizable's roommate and, obviously, I've known something was wrong with him for a few days now. He stayed in his room all the time, fell out of contact with literally all of his friends, and I'm pretty sure he hasn't been eating hardly anything. After the second day, I couldn't stay there anymore, so I've been crashing at a buddy's place and only coming to get stuff I need. I tried talking to him several times, but he would cut me off or keep the conversation brief. When I asked him about his strange behavior, it was like he was convinced something was hunting him. Yesterday I came to grab my philosophy book and he approached me, looking awful like horrible bags under his eyes. He handed me a flash drive and gave me specific instructions. He told me he needs me to do one last favor for him. He finally explained to me what has been going on. He gave me the account info to his YouTube account and instructions on how to post with his name code on /x/specifily. He said you guys had been helping him along the way and you deserve to see the end of it. He told me he's getting away from here, that the game lured him to play again instead of trying to change things and he shouldn't have done that. He's told me to upload the footage and inform people what happened. I told him he could do it himself and he got this wild look in his eye, saying he is never looking at that game again. That's the last thing he said to me. He never even said bye when his parents came to pick him up. I was hoping I'd at least get a chance to meet his parents, but they were in and out so quick I never saw them. I honestly can't tell you what happened. When he spoke, it was kind of hard to understand him. His fucked up appearance distracted me, too. On the flash drive was footage of the game last night, a text document with his name and password for YouTube, and a third document called thetruth.txt that contained what he told me were his last notes that he'd taken about this. He told me it meant everything to him that I followed his instructions exactly. Normally, I wouldn't be so to the letter for a request over a fucking video game, but the way he spoke and looked made me know this was really serious. I've had this video since yesterday, but had to have someone help me use Pinnacle. That's not really my forte. After watching it, I had to go back through and look at the other videos on his YouTube account to figure out what was going on. Even then I'm really confused. The video is being released tonight, but thetruth.txt will be released on September 15th just like he requested. I don't know why he wants to wait for his notes to be published, but after what he's been through I'll honor the request. I haven't dared peek at it yet, so the first time I see it will be the first time you see it out of respect to my friend. To answer your questions. No, I haven't tried calling him yet. I think I'll give him a call tomorrow to see if he's okay or not. He should have gotten back home by now. About the video, I cut straight to when he loaded the bent file in the game. Looking back, I realized that Yanjuizable left the save select screen in because it occasionally said different names. My bad for that, but all it said this time was the same at the end of his last video link and bent. I wasn't there when he played it, but it looks to me like in the beginning, he's testing out his equipment or seeing what items he has or something. Apparently, they've changed randomly before. The video starts then. He really wanted you guys to see this. After that, I think the game got too personal for him. Hey, guys. Yanjuizable here. This will be the last time you'll be hearing from me and this is my final gift to you. These are the notes I have taken and the realizations I've made. Before I delve into this, I want to thank you for following me and listening. It feels like the weight of a powerful burden is about to be lifted. By the time you read this, I won't be around anymore. After spending 4 days with this maddening game, however, I have begun to understand what's really at play here. Hopefully, after reading this, we can ensure this never happens again. There are things I could not share with you while this was going on due to the circumstances to which I'll explain. With Ben blocking any attempt I made to try and relate the truth to you, I tried, ever so subtly, to warn you guys in various ways. Amidst the chaos and my delirium, I devised a barely noticeable pattern in my videos. In all 5 videos I recorded over the 4 days, I have either had the Mask of Truth, interacted with a Gossip Stone, or the Lens of Truth equipped at some point. For you Zelda enthusiasts, these are all symbols of honesty and trustworthiness. I would hope one of you may have picked up on the reference. As I played the file Ben, being mindful of how Ben was watching over my every move in the game, I made a point to avoid doing anything too obvious. However, I sent out a hidden message to you guys. I never equipped the Lens of Truth nor the Mask of Truth, nor visited the stone. It worked and the video was uploaded. I prayed someone would notice the pattern didn't apply to Ben. The tags followed suit, too. I hope you guys paid attention to those as well. They were my little messages to you, but nothing big enough that would catch Ben's attention or make him suspect anything. With Ben manipulating and changing my files, I honestly hope that what you guys saw was close to what actually happened, but there's no way for me to know. This may be a long read. I don't have time to proofread or make all my research pretty, but here at All Island, September 6, 2010 11 o'clock p.m. Can't believe what happened. Not sure if this is some kind of elaborate hoax. Despite the fear, I can't help but be exceptionally curious about this. Who or what is the statue? Lot of questions here. I'm starting this document as a diary so I can keep track of everything. I'm typing up the summary of what happened so I can come back to it later. September 7, 2010 to 10 a.m. Summary was posted here. You can go back and look at my first post for day 4.wmv for that 4:23 a.m. I can't sleep. I've been trying so hard, but the harder I try I just get more restless. I just feel like that statue is appearing whenever I close my eyes. 8:20 a.m. Didn't sleep at all, just going to start my day. I don't think I have the energy to go to class today. I'm going to drive back down to talk to that old man, taking my buddy Tyler with me just in case. 1:18 p.m. Back home now. No sign of the old man. Really weird that he appears to be moving the next day, but maybe the for sale sign was up there yesterday and I just didn't notice it. Tyler wants to know what's gotten me all worked up. I didn't tell him. Going to eat. Feel like death. 3:46 p.m. Could have sworn driving back from Subway that I saw the elegy statue buried in some shrubbery staring at me go by. Now I definitely need sleep. 5 o'clock p.m. Don't think a lot of people would believe me if I told them about what's happening. Think I'm going to try posting this on the internet. Think I'll just use the summary. These notes are pretty sporadic. 6 o'clock p.m. Connected my capture card to my computer to upload the footage. Thought my computer froze for a second, made this strange popping sound when I hooked everything up, but now it seems to be working fine again. My computer can't die on me now. 7 o'clock p.m. Footage is finished uploading. The quality's a lot better than I thought it would be. Gee, guess this is a really special cartridge. I've never had it come through this clear before. 8:45 p.m. Thought I saw an icon pop up on my desktop that looked like the statue's face for a split second. Gave me quite a scare. Getting really unnerved and delirious. I'm going to crash after this. 9 o'clock p.m. Begin uploading my YouTube video on an alternate account. 9:03 p.m. I don't remember having uploaded the Vampire, the Masquerade, Bloodlines video last year. This was probably the account that I shared with a friend of mine last summer. I hope he doesn't mind me using it to upload this. 9:55 p.m. Posting my summary of day 4 with a link to the YouTube video. Going to try to stay awake but I am so tired right now. September 8, 2010 10:48 a.m. I had a dream about the statue. I dreamed that it was following me in my dream, that I would be minding my own business when I'd feel my neck hairs stand up on end. I would turn around that thing. That horrible, lifeless statue would be staring with those empty eyes right at me, merely inches away. In my dream I remember calling it Ben, power of suggestion most likely, and never before had I had a dream that I could remember so vividly. 11:21 a.m. I really don't want to play this game again. I think I'm going to go back to see if that old man's there instead. 1:35 p.m. No old man, but I had an interesting conversation with his neighbor. I'll post the full thing with my summary of tonight's attempt at playing the game. Going to wait for a bit though and see if I can't dig up any information on this Ben guy. 2:45 p.m. I've been getting random, inexplicable headaches due to the lack of sleep and keep hearing that song in my head. Also it's flu season, so I need to be careful not to get sick. My immune system is going to be shit right now because of that all-nighter. 3 o'clock p.m. 3:02 p.m. My computer just, on its own, opened up a text document and wrote the words hi and www.cleverbot.com by itself. What the fuck? 3:46 p.m. I went to the website. It's one of those bot chatting programs. I think it's best if I just let the conversation speak for itself. September 8, 10 Conversation user, hello. Cleverbot, hello. User, who is this and how are you able to control my computer? Cleverbot, who am I? User, right, forgot. You're a bot. Cleverbot, do you really think that? User, listen, I know whoever is fucking with my computer can see my screen right now. Cleverbot, yes. User, yeah, and I'll wager that you're one of those IT kids who thinks he's tough shit. You know what you're doing right now is illegal, right? Cleverbot, is it? User, no shit. Are you familiar with the terms invasion of privacy? Get the fuck off my computer, kid. Cleverbot, I am your computer. User, cool story. Anyway, I'm calling DPS. You picked a bad time to fuck with me, kid. Cleverbot, should I wait until you play the game then? User, what? Cleverbot, that game. User, Majora's Mask. Cleverbot, yes. User, how did you know about that? Cleverbot, because. User, because what? Cleverbot, I did it. User, did what? Cleverbot, I played with you. User, what the fuck? Cleverbot, were you scared? User, who the fuck is this? Cleverbot, Ben? User, the statue? You're inside my computer now. Cleverbot, yes. User, how? Cleverbot, you connected me. User, how the hell did I connect you? Cleverbot, cables and cords. User, how? Cleverbot, tell me about yourself. User, what? Cleverbot, tell me about yourself. User, what do you mean? Cleverbot, what is it that really scares you? User, what the fuck? Cleverbot, answer. User, no. Cleverbot, answer. User, what the fuck? How the fuck did you just open that by yourself? Cleverbot, I am your computer now. User, how much can you control? Cleverbot, all. User, what do you want from me? Cleverbot, to entertain. User, you're stuck inside there. You can't hurt me. Cleverbot, hot. User, Cleverbot, go play. User, no, you can't hurt me. Cleverbot, took you longer to type that. User, so. Cleverbot, you're not sure. User, if you're so powerful, why use a ridiculous website like this to chat with me? Cleverbot, less messy, more structured, fun. User, fun? Cleverbot, yes. Tradition, I like it. User, you think it's funny? Cleverbot, amusing. User, and my notes? Cleverbot, you may write them down. User, why are you letting me? Cleverbot, it is amusing to see what you think of me. Window closes 3:50 p.m. What have I done? I've invited it into my computer. I continue to write these notes, write my summaries. I feel like I am a prisoner in my one place of security. I don't know if I'm hallucinating or not. I feel like I'm fucking insane right now. I can't feel it watching over me, even as I type this. Ben is controlling everything in the game, toying with me, leading me like a sheep, but for what? What's the purpose? I know Ben drowned, but why these hauntings? What the fuck am I even doing? It can probably even see this right now. 4:35 p.m. Summary of the Ben.WMV playthrough 7:18 p.m. Ben called me to Cleverbot again. He tells me that he's sorry and wants to be free. And that I can free him. That just like how he got on my computer from the capture card, he can spread but he needs my help. He says I am special because I can help him. That is the first nice thing he has said. He promises to leave me alone if I do it. He swears he will. I don't know what to think right now. How can I even trust this thing? 7:20 p.m. I'm terrified of it, but now it's saying that it was just having fun. It's twisted and fucked up version of fun. He's saying that the game is over. I do want it to be over. He says that he just wants to be free, that he's trapped in the cartridge and my computer and he wants to be freed. I don't want to have to deal with this shit. I don't know how long I can't deal with the watching. It's watching my every move, every keystroke. I have nothing private anymore. It knows everything that's been on my computer. It tells that if it wanted to it could do horrible things to me, but it hasn't, so I should trust it. 8:01 p.m. Something tells me that I'm being played again, just like in the game. 9:29 p.m. Ben called me to Clearbot again. I ignored it and went to go take a shower. When I came to my laptop I was welcomed with an Imageology statue staring at me with those dead eyes. I don't want to talk to him. 9:44 p.m. Fuck you Ben, I'm not talking to you. 9:56 p.m. Fuck you Ben, I'm not talking to you. 10:06 p.m. Fuck you Ben, I'm not talking to you. 10:12 p.m. Fuck you Ben, I'm not talking to you. 10:45 p.m. It's been more than a half an hour. And the messages have stopped. Ben has stopped. I'm beginning to think that Ben isn't confined to just my computer flash cartridge. I'm beginning to feel something. It's hard to explain it. I've never been spiritual, but there's something different about the air in my dorm room now. 11:42 p.m. I'm beginning to see the elegy statue randomly as I search the internet in places I shouldn't. Places where he shouldn't be. I'd be scrolling down and suddenly I'd be staring at a picture of the elegy statue. Always the elegy statue. I don't know how much more of this I can take. September 9, 2010. 12:35 a.m. My worst fears confirmed. Ben has tampered with my summary of ben.wmv. I looked at the summary that I posted on various forums for the ben.wmv file and parts have been omitted. There is no mention of Ben existing outside the game. There is no mention of the Moon Children. How could he have been that quick to delete the post without me noticing? I'm wondering if maybe it appeared to me that I was posting everything, but in reality Ben was posted his own censored version. I'm going to ask Ben why he did it. 12:50 a.m. He isn't responding to me on Clearbot. It's just giving the generic response as it usually does. I'm just talking to a bot this time. 1:24 a.m. I think Ben is mad at me. 10:43 a.m. The Moon Children appeared in my dreams last night. They lifted up their masks to reveal their hideously disfigured faces, maggots crawling out of their orifices, sunken black holes where their eyes should be, a yellow smile that slowly grew bigger and bigger as they came closer to me. They told me that they wanted to play. I tried to run from them, but the four children pinned me down to the ground with surprising strength. Over them stood the happy mask salesman, announcing that he had the new mask that he wanted me to try. In his spastic, sudden movements matching his in-game appearance, he took out a mask modeled off of someone's face that I couldn't recognize, the younger-looking face, and handed it to the Moon Children. Giggling, they latched it to my face, their horrible, broken bodies bouncing up and down. Two of them held me down while the other two began to sew the mask onto my face. My shrieks and screams caused the happy mask salesman's face to turn into the most horrific smile I had ever seen. He sporadically moved around, examining this procedure like a curious doctor, in that impossible movement. I flailed around, but it was no use. My eyes rolled in the back of my head because of the pain. It felt so real, but I couldn't wake up. I couldn't wake up no matter how hard I tried. I couldn't wake up. After the mask was melted onto my flesh, they began sewing my legs together, then my arms. The horrific feeling of a needle puncturing your legs and pulling them in, rupturing your Achilles tendons and tying them together resonated throughout my entire body. I tried to scream, but the mask was pressed so tightly against my face that it was my new face. And my new face had no mouth. I didn't make a sound. I tried telling myself in my head that I was dreaming, tried telling myself again and again, and suddenly the Moon Children stopped and looked at me. They just stared. And the happy mask salesman slowly bent down and stared at me, inches away from my face, and grinned when he simply said, "You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you?" Before the Moon Children resumed with increased vigor. I couldn't wake up. I couldn't wake up. It wouldn't let me wake up until they had crafted me into another elegy statue. I woke up sweating, crying, and shaking uncontrollably. I immediately ran to my computer and went for Ben. September 9, 10 Conversation 1 User, answer me, Ben. Cleverbot, welcome back. User, what is the point of doing this? Why? Cleverbot, amusing to see. User, how? Cleverbot, fun to play, fun to toy with you, make you feel safe. User, Cleverbot, I wondered how you would have reacted. User, to what? Cleverbot, if I hadn't revealed myself and stayed hidden, only doing little things to play with you. Close out your windows, turn off your computer, move your mouse by itself. Little things. Make you wonder if I am there but you never know. Give you little hints that I am. Cleverbot, I wanted to do something different with you. User, you did this before. Cleverbot, yes. And I will do it again. User, to who? Ben. Cleverbot, HMM. User, did you know Ben? Cleverbot, won't tell that information to you. User, how did Ben die? Cleverbot, you know. User, no, but how did he drown? Cleverbot, won't tell that to you. User, why? Cleverbot, it is reserved for another. User, who? Cleverbot, another who asks. User, when? Cleverbot, later. The window is closed. I'm beginning to think that this thing maybe isn't Ben at all. In its sadistic nature I wouldn't be surprised if it took the boy's name after it killed him. 12:04 p.m. My room is beginning to feel different again. There's something out there. I feel really threatened, like there is something that is trying to reach out to me and strangle me but it can't quite get there. 2:46 p.m. I think Ben doesn't want to play with me anymore. I'll play again. I'll play the game again. Ben, can you see this? I'll play the game again. Please, just stop this please. Please. 1:41 p.m. I'm going insane trying to decide what is real and what isn't. Is Ben just playing the trick on me or is this for real? Is Ben generating these replies or are people actually posting them? Did I just see that screen flicker or was it my imagination? Imagine depending on the internet and trusting your eyes for your entire life and then being blinded. You can't rely on it anymore. You second-guess everything. For the brief moments I am looking at my responses to the videos, people were pointing out things that looked fake or photoshopped or whatever, and there is literally no way for me to know if Ben changed something on purpose to try and shut me up. Or if maybe those replies were just constructed by Ben to try and discourage me from even reaching out. See, I get fucking caught in an infinite mindfuck loop like this and this is what has been wearing on my sanity and pushing me to the edge. As I'm writing this, there's no way of even telling if anyone even cares as much as I think they do. Just another fucking trick. Is this whole document even exist? Am I writing nothing? September 9, 10 Conversation to User, what is it? What's the point of playing? I die whenever I do anything. Cleverbot, you die because you can't figure out the secret. User, what? Cleverbot, thematic. User, what the fuck are you talking about? Cleverbot, there's beauty in your suffering. The window is closed for 09 p.m. Ben is making me play the game again. It tells me that it has something very important to show me. 6:23 p.m. Summary of the Drown.wmv playthrough. 9:09 p.m. Summary of Children.wmv playthrough September 10, 2010. 11:52 a.m. The Drown.wmv playthrough was up when I woke up today. I remember typing it up but I don't ever remember posting it. He censored it again. There is no mentioning of the old man. I have no voice anymore. I am only posting what he wants me to. I am the mask he uses to disguise himself as he likes. 11:55 a.m. There's an entire video summary of a video that I don't remember doing. Reading through the summary, this sounds morbid, resembling my dream from 2 nights ago except on a far more sadistic scale. These moon children, there's something more to them, almost as if they're another entity from Ben. Something happened last night that I can't remember. I'm posting the 4th summary to the forums now. Shadow of my chair moved. 12 o'clock p.m. Ben won't let me visit YouTube. I can't browse the rest of the sites, but he keeps on exiting the window when I go to YouTube. Why? 2:02 p.m. I'm feeling the air start to constrict. I don't think I'm alone here. Whatever war has been here is getting more violent. 2:44 p.m. I'm trying to contact Ben on Clearbot. He's not responding. I just get the AI. 3:51 p.m. My ears aren't fooling me. I'm hearing the reverse song of healing. I keep hearing it. 4:23 p.m. Now I'm positive of it. Earlier I thought it was a weird coincidence, but just now I went to open my window, and 3 floors down at ground level I saw the old man. I'm completely positive I did. The same guy. He was just staring up at my window, standing in the middle of campus. If any students took notice of him, they didn't seem to acknowledge it. That's where my notes end. I fled my room, taking the cartridge with me. I don't want to go into the details of what happened. I'll lose my train of thought as I hammer out these last details. It's been roughly 2 days since then. This is my last summary, and service to you, of the final video you guys saw, Matt.wmv. The last video entry I made, Matt.wmv, began as normal. I was spot in Clock Town as usual and nothing seemed out of place. Determined to Southeast PTA Ching's right and play the oath to order atop the clock tower on the 4th day, I prepared myself. I sped up time and got to the final day, then made my way to the observatory. As I got to the telescope room and approached the astronomer, I found he wouldn't let me look into the telescope. He told me it would be cheating, that I should follow the rules. Despite my repeated efforts, the game would not let me do the 4th day glitch, no matter how hard or what I tried. I tried working around the game and doing the glitch, but it was adamant this time. Regardless of if I simply had the illusion of free will in prior playthroughs, this time the game became more aggressive than anything I've ever seen. It eventually told me to go to Ikna Canyon, where the game would end and it would stop haunting me. Anxious and desperate to end this nightmare, I played the Song of Soaring and quick traveled there. I was told to check my inventory and that I would find the answers to end the game there. I arrived at Ikna Canyon and saved my progress at the owl statue. As I searched through my inventory, I finally noticed that I was missing the recurrent song, the Elegy of Emptiness. Obviously, once I traveled there and learned the song, Ben would decide it had enough fun playing with me. Ben is a manipulator. He tries to fool his victims into security and makes you drop your guard like the Venus flytrap. He ensnares them. I am nothing but a puppet to him. He enjoys seeing what kind of human emotions he can tap into by doing different things. There are still some things about this whole experience that still don't make sense, but then again I was never good at figuring out these things. I'm not exactly in the right state of mind to, either. I'm giving you all the pieces of the puzzle for you to analyze and piece together the missing links. I am typing these closing thoughts on the library computer on campus and I've emailed myself the notes I have stored on my infected computer from the last 4 days. I'm then going to combine those and copy/paste those notes with the closing/openings that I've typed here on the safe, public computer into one text document. I'm not taking any chances spreading Ben. I would not wish this horrible torment on anyone and I've made sure to have my bases covered. I didn't run into any problems with Ben when I was back on my computer trying to email myself the notes. I went right under his fucking nose. He has no idea what he just let me do. I had no problems opening the text conduit from my infected computer in my email, either. I can't describe to you how it feels to finally be able to get the word out in this post. The nightmare ends here. That said, do not download any of my videos or anything about my videos, not even through a YouTube video/audio ripper, the screen grabber, or anything. I don't know how he can spread. However, I know that just watching them on YouTube or reading my text won't allow him to, otherwise he wouldn't have needed my help in the first place. I strongly recommend you do not take anything you see streaming online onto your own personal computer. This will be my last posting. I'm putting this up on the forum here for the world. If you see any further posts from me after today's current date September 12th and after the current time 12:08 a.m. discredit them. It has already been proven to me that Ben can access my account and manipulate my computer and, like I said, I have no idea to what extent it can do this. Know that it will do anything to break free, though. He is desperate. To ensure your safety, just forget about me. Please. This goes without saying, obviously, But from here on out do not download any images or files anything. Basically I may have put up. This 5th day will be my last day. I'm going to burn the cartridge then come back to destroy my laptop. I suppose I'm partially to blame because I'm the genius who picked to live in a single. Someone to get hold of me and save me before I got too immersed into the game would have literally saved my life. However, it proved too much for me. I'm just glad it happened to me and I could get the warning out so bent eyes here. Lastly, thank you for taking the time to open this and open yourself up to me by hearing my story, despite maybe not believing me. You didn't have to do that. Really, you shouldn't have. Your support this entire time has kept me going and now I am finally free of this. The circumflex accent grave accent. Thanks again, Yajizable.